Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a December energy update and tune into whatever we need to know for December. I already have a December energy update that was posted on my podcast, so you can check that out. And I recorded that about a month in advance, so I really don't remember what I said in there, which is a good, very good thing. And now we're gonna do it live. We're a few days into December, but it wasn't the time, and today is the time. So now we're tuning in. If you're new here, the way this works is I'm consciously channeling, so I've already called in all of my guides, protected the space, and I am saying what I'm hearing and seeing this entire time, FYI. So, what I'll just say is, as Christina, before I really jump into it, I have just been in such a hermit energy, sort of, and I feel like at this time of year, I tend to do that. It sort of is like a hibernation energy, which is really interesting because the holidays, November, December can be so busy, and it really is busy. It's the busiest for me in terms of work and just socially. It's really busy. There's a lot going on. And then I find that any extra space I have, I'm just so inward focused this time of year in general, but especially this year. And I'll just say that as my own experience and feelings recently, because I know I'm not the only one, and I think that's really going to overlap with just what's coming through intuitively. It is they're saying around how a lot of us might be feeling, because this month is, well, it's a 9-month in numerology, so a lot of it's a 9-month, right? My 2 + 1 is 3 plus, yeah. A lot of completing cycles, finishing up, wrapping things up, tying up loose ends, things coming to fruition. It's a month of endings, which I think is such a beautiful space to be going into next year. And I have really felt like, especially these last 2 months, and I brought this up in a podcast around how, or was it a YouTube video? I don't remember. A lot is going to happen, has happened, is happening November, December, even October. It just feels like so much of what's really going to anchor into the physical and the shifts, it's all gotten smushed into these last 3 months. So this year was really interesting in terms of when things were actually anchoring into the physical. Very, very much all more toward the end. It was all the energy shifts were happening earlier on, and then these last few months are when things are really actually tangibly shifting. So a lot of miracles, magic, manifestations coming in end of the year. I feel like this time of year always has a special magic. I feel like that especially so right now. There is something that is very, honestly, ethereal that's coming in this time. Just a lot of divine intervention this month. A lot of divine intervention. And so they're saying just take your hands off the wheel a bit and allow that to happen. Because when we are over planning or trying to make things happen, that's when we can get in the way of what's even bigger and better coming in, and a lot of stuff wants to drop in. So when you're feeling like you don't know what to do, or what the next move is, or you feel like any type of itch to kind of take control or make it happen, just pause for a minute and ask yourself, how could I allow myself to be in a space where I'm just letting the universe pleasantly surprise me? And that's my favorite thing to ask myself every day, or set the intention. Universe, please pleasantly surprise me today. So they're saying a lot of divine intervention, a lot of things coming out of left field. Whoa, wasn't expecting that. And we want to remind you that your life can shift in a day, okay? And we often think it has to be this linear thing of creating what we want. Your life can shift in a day, right? You can go from single to in a full-blown relationship, basically in a day or in a week, right? Just one person enters your life. Or you could feel like you're not making any money and you're really struggling with your career, and maybe that's how you felt the whole year. And in one instant, you get some offer that completely transforms your financial situation or career situation. It can take one moment for divine inspiration to drop in, and for you to suddenly know exactly what you're supposed to do and what the next step is, right? So it only takes one moment. It's not about working harder and trying to force it to happen. It's allowing that miracle moment to just drop in that can shift everything. And that is what moves us into a quantum leap. So the thing about this month is a lot of stuff's going to drop in, but it is this month of, in terms of numerology, how am I saying that? Lap over intuitively. the 9 wrapping things up, it just feels like you're finally ready to release and let go and get yourself prepared for next year. It's about preparation for next year. Like you're manifesting anything. If you know next year is going to be really powerful, you are ready to like really blast off to your next level, and you want to take advantage of the energy, because next year is so much about these internal shifts and upgrades. And a collective year 7 that we're moving into next year can be really intense and heavy, or it can be a big year of exciting, beautiful, magical, spiritual awakening, right? And so when we clear out the lower frequency stuff, or the stuff that we know isn't really good for us, but we're still holding on to because of comfortability, we're used to it, we don't want to ruffle any feathers. When we're holding on to that stuff, we're setting ourselves up to make it a lot harder next year. The more you're releasing now, where if you know intuitively this isn't resonant for me anymore, we got to be thinking about, what do I want to come with me next year, right? The more we release, it's going to be a much easier, more magical, more of an upgradey type feeling next year versus an intense, like if you think, okay, this is the contrast. If you think of an intense period of spiritual growth, that can either look like a dark night of the soul, or that can look like, all the magic turning on, all the manifestations coming in, all the miracles, all of the gifts turning on. And what the experience is like next year is going to depend on how much we're getting ourselves prepared. Like you're picking which timeline you want, which experience you want. So you're taking action in alignment with that. And so they're saying, how can you set yourself up next year? So the comparison they're using is, let's say that you really want to start exercising and you're trying to build that habit. What's the way to make that easiest for you in your day? I know for me, there are a lot of things in my life, and exercise is one example, where it's not that I don't want to do it, but if there feels like there's too many steps to something, to anything, I don't do it. Like, ask anybody who works for me in my business. If there's too many steps to something, I don't want to do it. Like, even if I like doing the actual thing, okay, like YouTube videos. If it felt like there were a million steps to it, I wouldn't want to do it. Why I love YouTube is because there's basically like one step for me. I just hop on here and I record it, right? So low barrier to entry. Exercise. If you put out your workout clothes the night before, like if you know exactly what you're going to wear, you know exactly where you're going, you know exactly what workout you're doing, you can just kind of roll out of bed in the morning, drink your water, have a snack, whatever, and put on your clothes. You don't have to think about it. It's less steps that are in the way, less decisions you have to make, and you just show up to it. So anytime we have less decisions to make or less steps, we're basically setting ourselves up for success. Right? There's so many things we can do, choices we can make to set ourselves up for success by making things easier for us, so that we don't get intimidated or overwhelmed going into a situation and it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to make all of these decisions. I'm confused right now. Like, that is going to slow us down. I could spend a whole day sitting here deciding what I want to do. As an entrepreneur, there's always a million things to do. I have different companies. I have different aspects within my businesses. And I could look at my to-do list every day and be like, I'm so overwhelmed that I'm not doing anything. Right? Analysis paralysis. Analysis paralysis. So it's the same thing for going into this next year. What can you do to set yourself up for success? So I will give a shameless plug, but that's literally why the guides have me create this. The membership, the Channel Collective, to me, that is setting yourself up for success. That is, you are choosing to be in a container where you are receiving monthly energy work, where you are given a little schedule for which piece of channeled content to listen to each day, meditations to do, it's just mapped out for you, and you just have to show up to it. And so you already know that you set yourself up for success in terms of spiritual growth and manifesting the life that you want, because you've decided to say yes to a container where you're given all of the tools and given a schedule, and it's just show up to this, do this thing, right? It's right there. And you are inevitably going to notice a difference in your frequency and what you're manifesting it, right? That's why people who are in the membership get such incredible results, is because they just show up to exactly what's laid out for them. I created the exact container that is exactly what I do to have created this life. Okay. So that's just one example. And maybe it's not that for you. It could be something else. You'll know intuitively. Maybe there is somebody you've been wanting to work with. Maybe there's a retreat you've been wanting to go to. Maybe there are some books that you're intuitively like, I know I need to read those, so what have been the things that your intuition has been drawing you to, or what would be the things that you could say yes to right now, and that will hold you accountable and really allow you to expand. I'm in different masterminds. I work with different coaches, and I see that as I am saying yes to this, so it's inevitable that I'm continuing to grow and expand, right? Because if I didn't have that in my life, if I wasn't paying for it, or like having these different groups that I go to, like that's on my calendar, and all I have to do is say yes to it, and I show up to it, and then I know that I am going to be growing and expanding, right? There's no other way. The only way it's not going to happen is if I don't show up to it, okay? And people, there's been a lot of, and you're probably realizing this. I think a lot of people are realizing right now, they're saying this, it's this realization of how much time am I going to waste? And looking back on how much time I've wasted thinking about doing it, or wondering how it's going to work out. It's a lot of like thinking about it and not enough doing it, and this could be in anything. This could be in your career. This could be starting your own business. You keep thinking about it, waiting for the right time. You're researching around it. When are you actually going to do it? No one knows what the hell they're doing until they jump into it. Or even with dating, you're like not wanting to fully commit to something because you don't want to give up, whatever freedoms, you think you're going to lose, which in the right relationship you won't. You don't want to give up your freedoms, or you're afraid XYZ is gonna happen, or you're scared to be vulnerable, but you do really want that connection. And you're looking back on this on the last year, and you're like, for how long am I just gonna stay in this space of in between? There's been too much being in a state of in between, and you know what? That's okay. That can be part of the process. But then there hits a point where it's like, okay, if I don't make a change, nothing's going to change. Right? So if I'm just thinking about it and not actually doing it, what is that thing that you've been drawn to do? Right? And the thing that you've been drawn to do could just be a different way of being, right? The thing that you've been drawn to, that you need to do to make a shift could be, I need to create space every day in my life, 30 minutes where I do nothing, where I just sit and I relax. Like that could be the thing, right? But it just feels like there's been a lot of thinking about it, evaluating it, weighing pros and cons. Well, maybe I'll do that, dipping my toe in. Oh yeah, I'm going on dates here or there. Oh yeah, I worked on that a little bit. It's like you need to commit to going all in. Okay? And so what is it that you're going to go all in on this year? They want you to pick a word. They want you to pick a goal. It's interesting because somebody had asked me, how come I never really talk about goal setting? I don't really resonate with goal setting, but I don't know, like there's something wrong with it. I just don't I don't know what that term, I never really resonate with that. I'm not somebody that like makes big goals like really far in the future because my desires could change. I'm more focused on like what's right in front of me, right? So I know I'm going to be publishing 2 to 3 books next year. I know I want to focus on growing my product line Quartz, and I want to focus on growing my publishing house, Golden Hour. Like I know that. And so I'm really being really intentional next year. If I know, I'm just using an example from my own life to hopefully help you, right? So if I know that and I just have that intention, but then I'm not thinking, okay, how am I going to bring this intention to fruition? Then it's just going to continue to be a thing in the back of my head that I never really have time for, but I've been thinking about, And so what does it look like if I know that those are the things that I want to really grow next year? What I'm doing is I'm getting clear on what are the holes in my business? What do I need to hire for? Where do we need more supports? How am I gonna, how do I want more cash to come in so that we can support these things? How am I rearranging my schedule so that I can create more space so that I have time for these other projects in a way that's not overwhelming? So I'm thinking about that and then thinking, what decisions can I make now to set me up for success so that's actually happening versus just planning it, right? And this is why people don't create the things they want in their lives, right? How do I write so many books so quickly? Well, if I'm just living my life and I am waiting for spare time to channel a bunch of books, guess what? It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Like I do have kind of a crazy schedule, right? But I'm like, this is a priority for me. And so I'm going to block out 3 days and channel a book. And then I'll block out a week and I'm going to edit all my spelling errors. Right? I block it out and I choose my priorities. So you have to understand that you can create time, you can create space with its intention, but the intention then guides the aligned action. All right? And because it's going to be such an internal year and such a year of personal growth, before you're deep in that, they want you to set up the masculine structure in your life to hold to be the container to hold you through that. And I will tell you, it is really difficult once you're kind of in this year 7 energy. Like when you're in the washing machine and it's all changing, it's really hard to, while you're in the middle of it, then be like, then create your structures and systems. And I wish that's something that I had known going into my personal year 7, because it just felt like, oh, I'm floating around, right? And that is the biggest thing they're saying. Why didn't you guys? I'm like, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me this before my year 7? They're saying this now. I'm like, wow, that's really smart. But you know what? It's fine. Set those things up before you get hit by the energy of the year 7, that masculine structure, so you can really just flow and transform within that year without trying to also kind of be strategic in your life. And I know that was a real struggle for me this last year, of like being so in that internal process and so in the upgrades and so in the downloads that like, and I'm somebody who's really good at like structure and organization, but I was so far in the other direction and I didn't have those things kind of like set up of where I was heading. I just couldn't get my feet on the ground, you know? And so it was a lot more difficult than it had to be. And so they're trying to set you up in terms of what's going to make next year a lot less difficult than it might feel, a lot less intense. And that's going to be different for everyone. So whatever you've been intuitively drawn to, I mean, that could be anything from a shift in diet, a shift in exercise, a hobby to pick up, creating more space in your day, you know, making a shift in your career, releasing things, adding things in, clearing out your house. I just got a kitten. You might hear her endlessly meowing because she loves to meow. You know, it could be any, and you never know what it's going to be about, right? But I've already noticed like she is requiring me to create a bit more structure in my day. You know, because it's just another being for me to be responsible for, which I'm happy to do, and it's helping me in that way. You know, so sometimes, you know, we don't always understand why it's helping us, but we got to get out of what makes sense, you know. And what I want to say is, you might feel like you don't have enough time, and sometimes you can create more time by adding things in. Sometimes adding things in forces you to be smarter about how you're using your time. It forces you to care less about certain things. You know, I think about like school projects when I was in school. And I remember like, I mean, if I was like, I'm going to take all day Saturday to write this essay that's due on Monday, or all day Sunday, whatever, then it would take me all day. But if I procrastinated and I waited until like an hour before, I would finish the same thing in an hour. So you know, it's just one example. Sometimes when you're so busy, somehow you still make it work. And that is kind of one way of looking at, you know, creating more time in your day. It's not always about the logistics of how much we're doing. It's more around like what's allowing us to be more efficient, more productive, what's keeping us in a state of flow and alignment and excitement. When you're excited about everything you're doing, you expand time. I guess this is turning into a time expansion thing. And so throughout the month, things are going to pop up of let go of this, do this, try this. Just don't think about it. Trust your intuition, because that's going to really align you and set, like they're just trying to guide you to help you be set up for next year. Okay, I'll post some cards. Unless you have anything else. No, we'll post some cards. Okay. Bring in the light. Open up your heart. Allow yourself to receive. Let it go. Okay, so this is about allowing all of the magic and miracles that want to come in for you this month to come in. And how do you do that? Open your heart and allow yourself to receive go hand in hand. That is how you allow yourself to receive. People will say that they they want to manifest, they want to receive more, and then I look at their energy body and everything's just blocked. No, 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 no. I want to do it all myself. It's not safe for me to receive support. I don't even like receiving compliments. So if you're anywhere in your life in the energy of I want to do it all myself, or I don't want to let people in, what else are you not letting in? It's probably why you're not letting in money. Hey, it's probably why you're not whatever the thing is that you really desire. Where are we unintentionally blocking it? You know, and the only person that can get in your way is you. Okay, and that's the thing about manifestation. It's if we understand what are my subconscious beliefs, and let me tell you, like people will say, I really want a partner. I'm really trying to manifest my life partner. I really want a lot of money. Okay, but there's somewhere within you subconsciously where there's a greater desire for you to not have that. And you might be like, no, I want this with all my heart. You got to dig a little bit deeper into your subconscious, because if that was truly the pure desire and there wasn't any bit of you that didn't want it to happen or wasn't calibrated to receiving it, wasn't open to receiving it, okay, then it would already be here. It would already be here. So this is about living from your heart, speaking from your heart. That is the answer. Like, and I always feel like this time of year, you know, it brings out a lot of love in people, gratitude. And so the energy is primed, like for you to lean into that. How can you really live from your heart space and open up a little bit more than you ever have before, you know? And I feel like you'll get some courage and some inspiration to say the thing, to, you know, say how you're feeling, express how you're feeling. It really is about like opening up and getting outside of your comfort zone a little bit and noticing where maybe you've been a little bit too guarded. But people don't know what you don't tell them. I want you to remember that. People don't know what you don't tell them, including the universe. Right? But people don't know how to love us until we tell them. People don't know, you know, what makes us feel good and what doesn't unless we tell them. People don't know what is important to us if we don't tell them. They don't know. Allow yourself to receive in every area of your life. So focusing on receiving, focusing on living from an open heart. Let it go. This is like fresh slate energy. So where are you expecting what happened before to happen again? Where are you holding on to a grudge or one thing that happened? It could be in the last week, in the last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Like this is around something that an experience you had, a time you were hurt, something someone did. Like this is let go of whatever that was. Allow people to show up differently. Holding on to a grudge only hurts you. Holding on to fear only hurts you. So it's around like, if you think what happened before is going to happen again, or this happened, so I have to protect myself. Whatever you haven't let go of, that's why you're not fully receiving. That's why the manifestations aren't coming in. We got to let it go. All right? Let go. It doesn't have to mean it was okay if somebody hurt you. It's not validating it, but it's, I love myself enough to not hold on to this resentment, this low frequency in my system, and I'm ready to release that so I can just move forward and live in the present. Because when you're still holding on to the past, you're not living in the present. You're bringing the past into the present. And isn't that the opposite of what we want to do? Isn't what we want to do move forward with a fresh energy? Let it go. And let go of all of the reasons that you've made up in your mind, in your logical mind, that it can't work or it won't happen or it's going to be hard. Let it go. This is all about just, there's almost like a fatigue of like, I can't keep getting in my own way. It's just too exhausting. It's too exhausting. Okay, energies of December. Love, commitment, fertility. Woo! Well, you know, if you are trying to get pregnant, this is like good, but fertility is more than getting pregnant, right? I mean, holy shit. I mean, that, right? It's a year 6. So it's all about love and relationships. It's fertile energy. And that could be a creative project. That could be just like rebirth for you. This could be a new version of you showing up this month because you've released all the bullshit. You've released all the limiting beliefs. Love and commitment. Like this goes back to what this whole year has been about, is releasing relationships that aren't serving us and then attracting in the ones that, soul family, or even transforming current relationships if they just need to be transformed. So it's been all about calibrating our family life, home life, relationships to the frequency of love and setting us up so we have that support system moving into the next year, people who really see us and understand us. And so this is like what we were saying before about how it's all being smushed into this last, you know, couple of months, and especially November, December, noticing who's a bigger part of your life, who are you meeting out of the blue, and the commitments can come in really quickly. Like, and it's interesting because I feel like I'm seeing this with so many people in my life of like, people are meeting people left and right, and it's like, boom, overnight, like committed relationship. And I'm seeing that a lot in the romantic space because we're connecting with soul family, and when you connect with soul family, like time is not a thing, and you meet each other and are like, I've known you forever. And it's just a time warp. So it's like commitments come really fast because you're not doing it based on the like human timeline of, oh, the shoulds, of like, oh, well, we should wait this long, oh, we should. It's like, it doesn't even matter. You're skipping all of those steps because time is not a thing. So commitment energy is coming in like really, really strongly. And this is the overnight, like somebody could profess their love to you like tomorrow, who you never knew I was going to profess their love to you, and then you guys are in a relationship the following day. Like that kind of shit could happen, and that kind of shit is happening. This can also be with friendships, you know, like people, I mean, this has happened for me. I have met, soul family has come into my life in the last 2 months, and it's like overnight we're like super close, like best friends. Like some of the closest people in my life recently I literally just met. You know, and we're like, yeah, I feel like we've been best friends forever. So that, like that energy of commitment and in connection to love, and it's a commitment to loving yourself, right? Again, think of that commitment to love in my life and commitment to loving myself. This is also like goes hand in hand with the energy of like, I'm not doing this bullshit anymore. I'm not living for my limiting beliefs. I'm not holding myself back. I'm not telling myself I can't. I'm not going to waste time thinking about it. I'm just got to go for it. I just got to go for it because this incarnation is too short, right? Commitment to love is also commitment to self, because you are love. You are love. Commitment to love is commitment to yourself. Commitment to yourself is commitment to your joy, is commitment to taking care of yourself, is commitment to prioritizing your excitement and your happiness, is commitment to your health, is commitment to your mission, is commitment to keeping promises to yourself and not letting yourself down. And sometimes that can be hard to look at for us of where have I been letting myself down? But you know what? It's so helpful to be honest with ourselves, because then we know exactly what we can shift to show up for ourselves the same way we would anybody else, right? What do you need to finally commit to? Because where have we been in wishy-washy energy? This goes back to what I was saying around, oh, I want to manifest XYZ, but it's not coming in because maybe you're like, and I'm telling you, it's every single day. People come in, they're like, I want my business to look like this, but I'm too scared to put myself out there. What if somebody judges me? And what's happening there vibrationally is a bigger part of them is doesn't want it to work. A bigger part of them doesn't want to do it than does. I really want to meet my partner, but I don't want to give up time with my friends, but I don't want to share space with somebody, but I don't want to get vulnerable with anybody. Okay, so if more of you doesn't want that than does, right? I really want to raise, but I don't want to change anything with how I go about my work. I don't want to show up differently. I don't want to take on more responsibilities. I don't want to spend more time on it. Well, then you don't want it. All right. So I want you to think about what you're telling yourself you desire, but you have not fully committed to. Because commitment, when you're actually in that energy of commitment, aligned action follows. When you're fully in commitment energy, you are inherently motivated. You have to try and rally yourself. You want to take steps to make it happen. Right? And that's how I can tell what I really desire and what I don't. When I really desire to do something, I will go do everything I need to do, even if the steps aren't super fun, because I have such a great desire to create the thing. I don't care. I'm pumped, and I'm gonna work on it all night. I'm not saying you have to do that, but I'm just saying like my level of motivation is telling me how much I actually desire it. And if I'm like, oh, I'm dragging my feet, I don't really want to do that, so it's like a pain in my butt, then I probably don't really want to do it. All right. So commitment, fertility, it is a great time for beginnings, ironically. You know, because there's such a 9 completion wrapping up, on the other side of that, they're just showing like closure, release, and then a new thing drops in. And it doesn't even have to be something that like, it's not even something you're trying to get created. It's like when you play your role of releasing, wrapping up, making a different decision, like anything in that 9 energy, that completion energy, I'm completing this limiting belief. I'm completing this bullshit. I'm completing this habit that's not serving me, this relationship, whatever it is, this phase. And you take the action to show I'm done with this. The universe now has space to drop in the new beginning, the divine inspiration, the new relationship, the cash injection, and that's co-creation. That's co-creation. December, the month of co-creation. That feels complete for me. So, it's going to be a magical month. I hope you feel it. If this resonated with you, leave a comment below and let me know how. I would love to hear it, and be sure to hit the thumbs up button if you have not already. If you did enjoy this, maybe share it. If you think somebody in your life would like this energy update as well. And be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, so that you never miss a future video. I'm really excited about this month, and I'm really excited for next year, honestly, so I hope you are too. I'm hoping that you have an incredible December. Can't wait to hear how it goes. All right, thanks for watching, and I will see you in a future video.